Today's lesson, in this lesson, adding and subtracting algebraic fractions. So we've got this video, and then the next one is multiplying, okay, algebraic fractions. So add and subtract algebraic fractions by making the denominators the same. So let's get into it, okay. Here are some examples, okay. So it's just like any kind of fractions going back all the way to year 7 and even before, is that we need to make the denominator the same. And the easiest way to do it is to multiply this denominator by the other one, and vice versa. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go 3 times 2, and I'm going to go 2 times 3. But remember, what I do to the bottom, I must do to the top of that fraction. So if I'm just looking at this fraction, so the bottom is times by 2, so I have to times by 2 the top as well. And this other one here, well, the bottom is times by 3, so the top I have to times by 3. Okay. Now, if I can just simplify that, I'm going to go 2x over 6 plus 3x over 6. The denominator is the same, so I can go 5x over 6, and that's our answer. Okay? Subtracting fractions is exactly the same thing. So I'm just going to go and start doing it. So because I want to times it by the other one, I'm going to times this by 6. Now there is an easier way of doing this, like 4 goes evenly into 12, and so does 6, and that's a much easier way. But you're not always going to think about this, so I'm just going to do it the way that I started. So 4 times 6, and that means the top I have to go 4 times 6. I have to go times 6. 6 times 4, that means I'm going to have to times this by 4. So notice that that and that have to be the same. Okay, let's go. 66x over 24 minus 30x over 24. 66 minus 30 is 36x over 24. Now this is where the other method would have helped a lot, because you can easily simplify it, but I can simplify this as well. I know that 12 goes into 24 and also into 36. It goes into 24 twice, and it goes into 36 3 times. So the simplest form is 36x over 2, if I'm correct. I hope I've done all the maths right. Remember, if I make a mistake, let me know. Okay, now let's apply exactly what we've done in examples 1 and 2 to part 3. Okay, so actually, how do I get 5x the same as 2x? Well, I'm just going to multiply this by 2, because then that will make it this 10x, and so I'm going to multiply this by 5, because then that will make that 10x as well, so the denominator 10x. So that means to the top I'm going to have to times by 5, times by 5 over here. I don't know what I've done. So times by 5 that one, and then the other one I have to times by 2. So if I just do that, I'm going to have 4 over 10x plus 5 over 10x. And now, because the denominator is the same, I can just simply answer the question. 9 over 10x. Alright. So that looks pretty good too. Well, I don't know. You decide. Now this one here, this number 4 I'm looking at, it's almost like we want to minus 3 here, but we can't just do that, okay? Every single one of these 3 examples, we've had to multiply something to the denominator and to the numerator. So I'm going to have to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply them by each other, okay? So hopefully you can follow through. So I'm going to multiply the bottom of the first one by a. So I'm going to go a times a minus 3. Okay? And because I multiplied this one by a, I'm going to have to multiply the top. So it's going to be a at the top. 1 times a. So let's write that out because it needs to be clearer. So I'm going to use yellow. So times a, that means at the top I have to times by a. In the bottom here I have to times by a minus 3. That means the top I'm going to have to times by a minus 3. Okay, so we're using the same maths, it just looks a bit yuckier. Okay. So that means in this one that I started to do in blue, that's 1, because a, because 1 times a is just a. Minus, now because that's a 1 as well, that's going to be a minus 3. Now I'm going to put this in brackets and I'll let you know why soon. Okay. And then this one will be a minus 3. So we have our denominators the same. Okay. Now I'm going to do 2 more lines of working out. The denominator is the same. It's just a minus 3. The top is going to be a minus 3, all in brackets. Okay. Now this is really important. Now one thing we can't do, we can't cancel this out. That is illegal maths, because these are 2 terms. Okay, they're not multiplied together, which means that we can't just cross them out. The reason why this brackets works, is useful, is because this negative is negative for a, but it's also negative for the 3. With that in mind, I'm going to have to rewrite it. So it's going to be a minus a, and then the second ski jump is negative 1 times negative 3, that's positive 3, over a minus 3. Now, a minus a is just going to cross out. Therefore, the answer will be 3 over a minus 3. Hopefully this makes sense. If you've got any questions, please ask me in class. I don't expect everything to be like crystal clear, but having said that, this is the lesson. Alright? Make sure it's in your books. Peace out.